Hello YouTube. Today I'm bringing you a live play and explain video where I'm four tabling 1 cent, 2 cent on PokerStars, and the purpose of this video I'm just going to be explaining my decisions while I play and going into detail on the strategy involved. So at the last table I had King Queen offsuit. It was under the gun, but we're playing just four-handed, and I open raised and took it down. Here, so the very first thing you have to ask yourself when you're at a poker table is, what is my position? So here I'm in the cutoff, and I'm facing both a limp and an ISO raise. I actually wouldn't even have played that hand if it was folded to me. Okay, so in this hand, I'm technically in the cutoff because we're four-handed. Take it down. Here I'm going to defend getting 2-1 with threes. And the flop comes 9-9-6. I'm going to continue for the 4 cent bet. I think I'm going to have the best hand a fair amount of the time. He could easily have a 6, but he's going to have plenty of ace high, king high. Most players are going to bet those hands. It's a small sizing. I definitely want to bet the turn myself because quite vulnerable to um, well, anything. A 6, a 9 would both kill me, or the 6 maybe it's a chop, and then the 9 would kill me because I would have quads of a low kicker. Um, this is a borderline decision. I'm going to go ahead and raise. I think I would probably fold normally, although maybe it's all right. These tables are a little bit tight. Three-way, definitely checking. I have a flush here, technically. Another borderline decision. Not sure about this one. I'm going to go ahead and raise it up. Um, on the button, you want to raise with about 45% of your hands if it's folded to you. And the reason is you're against two random hands in the blinds, and you've got a positional disadvantage. So there's a good chance you're just going to take it down right there. So if I'm risking 6 cents to take down 3 cents immediately, and then even if they call, it's not really that bad a situation. I'm in position. I could hit a pair. I might even make some money after hitting a pair. So okay, so here we've got ace jack suited in the big blind, and we just take that down. Here we've got ace jack offsuit on the button, raise and take it down. Just going to fold this hand and raise here, ace queen offsuit. Take it down. A lot of taking it down going on. So actually, these 1 cent, 2 cent games are pretty tough. Pretty much everybody's playing tight. I mean, tough compared to say live poker, where very very fishy loose games. This is sort of an interesting situation. We've got an under the gun poster, and we're in MP. I'm just gonna fold. You definitely don't want to play too loose in these games because you're going to be going up against very strong ranges. If you're just entering too many pots, you're going to get punished. You're going to get three bet. You're going to get flat called, slow played, and it's going to be a world of hurt. Um, Now I might do something here. Uh, Blind on blind in position. I'm going to 3-bet. This guy's got pretty tight stats over a small sample. And then we get a 10-8-7 flop. And I think I'm just going to check back. Um, yeah, I mean, I break the flop pretty hard. This is a very connected board. Hearts are there now. He checks again. I see no reason to stop checking. I'll show it down. I get king 10, so um, interesting hand, I guess. Looks like we did all right. Both with the decision to 3-bet and to check give up. So you'll notice that I'm short stacking, and gonna go ahead and bet here top pair. Pretty good hand. No reason to stop betting, but we don't have to go too big either. And I'll go for 3 streets of value here. Pretty gross if we get raised. We only have a deuce kicker, but we do have the ace. So, and it was a pretty clean run out of the 6 and the 4. It's another thing you have to consider. How do the cards on the turn of the river relate to the board? Uh, Tempting to flat here. I'm going to go ahead and flat, I guess. I don't really know anything about this guy. So I'm short stacking, and I'm doing that for a few reasons. The first is when you first sit down at the poker table. What is this? This guy doesn't know how to play postflop or what? He's just gonna 5 times. I mean, we're never calling with the wrong red suit, but so when you first sit down at the poker table, it's very useful to buy in for the minimum, the absolute minimum, because you're not allowed to take chips off the table, but you are allowed to add on for more. So if you sit down and you play for an hour, and then you say, okay, the optimal stack based on the conditions that I've observed is this amount. You always add on, but if you bought in for the max and then you realize game conditions warrant you being at, a 40 or 30 big blind stack, you're not allowed to take money off the table. So when I first sit down at the table, I like to just buy in for the minimum, see what's going on, evaluate my opponents. Um, and this is useful online too, because actually, out of all these games, um, all these games that I'm playing right now, all the tables, I'm on 4 tables, they're all trash. Okay, there's one table that's barely worth playing. There's one fish there. Everybody else is a rake, just based on their HUD stats. You can't see the HUD. I've got a HUD running here, um, and they're all nits. I mean, as far as I can tell, there's one table 4 here. There's one guy who's limping in, and so the the quality of a game equates to how much money you're willing to risk in it. So, if there's like a really juicy 5-10 game, and normally you're like a 2-5 grinder, you got like a 20K bankroll, you might risk a few thousand in it. Because it's an opportunity where you can win a lot of money. And if you lose, well, you still have a bankroll. You can still grind 2-5, right? But you wouldn't just play any 5-10 game with that $2,000 shot. You would want it to be a really juicy game. Maybe you recognize some of the players. You play with them at 2-5 and so on. So that's a good practice online. Um, Especially you don't know any of your opponents. You sit down and and just short stack, see what's up, see where the nits are, and then if you find a good game, then you want to rebuy, cover the fish, cover the whales, and and that way you're making a sensible use of your bankroll. Another thing is that it's good to short stack in general because by short stacking you can create an edge in games where you wouldn't have an edge otherwise. Um, because if everybody's playing 150, 200 big blinds deep, then they have to play the optimal strategy for a 250 big blind game. And that's going to be very different from the optimal strategy for a 30 big blind game. So here we defended big blind, and we're going to check call again. We've got the jack middle pair. Um, we had backdoor diamonds. Five comes, no reason to bet really, and he had pocket queens. Yeah. So here, I checked in the big blind. Both players limped in. And I think our six is just a little too marginal to bet for value. We've got the four kicker. What can really call us, right? So make a marginal open from the cutoff. We flop a flush draw. I'm going to go for a C bet. This is a pretty heavy flop, high card flop. So we're going to have more fold equity. And our opponent's not going to be able to check raise us at a high frequency. Defending out of the big blind, he's going to be pretty wide. So here we defended for a min raise. Against a min raise, you're going to get really good odds, so you can call some weaker hands that you wouldn't call against a full raise. So that's important too. Pot odds, always something you need to be considering, keeping in mind. Here, because there's no raise, I'm getting immediate pot odds of 5-1. There's 5 cents in the pot. It's 1 cent to call. I call. Now, my effective pot odds are a little worse because the big blind could still raise. I'm not closing the action. And anytime you're making a pot odds consideration calculation, you need to ask yourself, am I closing the action? And if not, what's the probability that they'll raise? And keep in mind that just because you're in the big blind doesn't mean you're closing the action necessarily. If there's a couple limpers and then a raise, the limpers can always repop it. So just something to bear in mind. So overall, my impression, I mean, I don't play a lot of 1 cent, 2 cent on PokerStars. I just wanted to make this video demonstrating some of the basic situations, explaining some of the logic of reasoning behind my hands. But my impression is these games are pretty tough. There are some fish, absolutely. I see a couple players. This one guy's playing 60% over 21 hands, zero raise. So that's a very typical loose passive. Another guy, 19 hands, 70% VPIP over 19 hands, zero raise. So very typical loose passive archetype. And then there's definitely a bunch of nits. These guys playing 5% over 40 hands, and that's so that's the ecology. Um, but the games aren't that good, you know. I play Omaha. I play games where at much higher stakes, where there'll be 3 or 4 guys at a 6-handed table playing 70% VPIP. So HUD stats are an integral part of online poker. As I said before, you can't see the HUD stats for my HUD, and that's just the way that Drive HUD works. Drive HUD? No, hand to note. Anyway, so here, table 3, pocket queens, I raise and I bet. I see bet on the larger size. It's a very dynamic board, wet board, so could actually get a lot of action. And this is a guy earlier I defended, and he had queens. Um, so I'm not gonna fool me once, right? As they say. Um, and he's showing like a 5% pre-flop raise over now. Well, I can't see, but over like 40 hands or something. Okay, so ace queen in the big blind here, offsuit. I really got to switch to the four color deck. So very clear ISO spot. This guy's a very loose player. He's limping in probably almost anything. Obviously, we're gonna raise here. The question is how much. I'm gonna raise to 10 cents. Um, I don't want to give him great odds with like a Jack 10. Um, I don't want to scare off 9x either. It's going to be easy to get the money in by the river. If he calls, unfortunately he didn't. Over here we raised pre and bet the flop, which I think was fine. Specifically having 9 high and no equity. Um, I think that's a good spot to try to like airball the flop. Um, you don't want to have too many airball C bets, but because we have no equity, our hand gains a lot of value if our opponent folds. So I think it's good to have a polarized flop strategy where polarized is in very, very strong or strong hands and then very, very weak. Um, so betting all your good hands and then betting your very worst hands, which I don't think I'll have much worse than 9-8 there. Um, I'm not opening every suited connector. So so here we have a decision in the big blind. We got a tight early position razor, very tight over. Not a great sample, but we're getting 3-1. I'm gonna enter the pot. I don't know if this is a call at all. Definitely gonna continue here on the flop. We've got a little pair. We've got an ace. Back to our hearts. I mean, you probably don't even want to hit them, but okay. He checks. We check. So the river, what changes? Queen Jack, pocket nines. And we win. He probably had ace queen, ace jack. Yeah, he had ace queen. So betting his gut shot. Okay, this is again almost 3-1. Um, and we're against a fairly aggro opener here. This guy's got very high pre-flop ratings, over 56 hands. Um, so the question is, versus the small bet, should we call or should we check raise? I'll just go ahead and call. Not sure what's up with that sizing, but once he checks back to the turn, I think it's a good spot to go for value. We've got top pair. Here we completed four-way. Excuse me, and then we check the flop. Obviously, check the turn. I mean, four-way. Your standards for betting go way up, and this wouldn't really be a value bet even if we were with fewer players in the pot. Let me check again. All right, King Jack suited, 3 times open, standard. All right, we get called by a tight player in the small blind and by the big blind, who's a very tight player. And three-way, I'm just going to check back here. Not a good flop for me. No equity. Multi-way. Sometimes you just got to give up. and I gave up. So I gave up. All right, pretty wacky action on this table. We've got a limp, a min raise, and then a small three bet to 10 cents. So, and then the four bet. Wow. Okay. From the positive player against the nit. This hand is pretty spicy already. I like it. Um, 70 cents. So, money's going to go in a lot of the time, but not this time. That's unexpected. You don't expect that to see the four bet from the passive guy after the min race ISO, especially. I mean, okay. So we raised pre and pretty good flop. Um, jams on us. I mean, I don't think I can fold. Oh no. Oh no. Should I cash out? No. I believe the nine is coming. Oh, that's tragic. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I can get away from that one. Top pair. I'm short stacked. But you notice, okay, so I automatically rebought, and that's a setting that you can adjust in PokerStars and pretty much every poker site. And you want to have your auto rebuy on so that you don't miss a hand. Because if you don't have your auto rebuy on, then you're going to miss a hand. And the thing is, in poker, you play for the hands, you pay for the hands that aren't the blinds with the blinds. So here at this table, um, the the 3 cents I pay for blinds buy me the other four hands. The most valuable being the button, and then they go in decreasing value from there, cut off, and so on and so forth. So if you don't have auto rebuy on, you end up costing yourself money, basically. Not a lot of money, um, but it's just one little thing you can do to prevent being dealt out. Plus, you don't want to get dealt out. That's annoying, especially if you're only playing one table or something. I mean, uh, so ace queen suited, and here we're faced with a decision. I'm going to utilize my stack size here and three bet jam. And we run into kings. Not great, but we spiked the ace. Hello. Okay, just no queen. All right. Sweet. Sweet, sweet. I think I played that hand all right. I mean, obviously we ran into kings, uh, but we're short stacked, 30 big blinds. You got ace queen suited. I think that's an all right play, to be honest. So, yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to gamble, right? Because all he did was raise. He didn't even three bet. It was just an ISO raise. Uh, you could have hands like eights or something, king queen suited. Why not, right? Maybe even king jack suited if he was feeling frisky. Sometimes you sometimes you get it in bad and you draw it on people. That's poker. Short-handed here at this table. Three-handed. Okay. Over here we raise and flop pretty good. So half pot C bot, fairly C bot C bet, fairly dynamic board think I'm just going to jam over this check raise. I mean, and he folds. Not sure what that was about. But that's the advantage of the short stack. If you're deep stack, you have to like just call on that spot because um, otherwise he's just gonna fold all the hands that you beat and continue with the hands that beat you. But when you're short stacked, you can just jam and take it down, protect your hand against flush draws or the middle pair. Uh, so it allows you to play a little more aggressively. Basically, take down a pot with king high. Certainly wasn't expecting to win that one. I just called on the flop because it was so cheap. So, all right, well, we'll end the video there. Thank you so much for watching, and please make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more poker content.